Alrighty, folks, we have a public hearing before us this evening. Got everybody here? So I would like to call this portion of our meeting to order at 7:05. Looking for approval of the agenda. Seconder? Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I will read the following statement to those that are here in the audience. Oh, yes. Councillor Lukens will be excused from this, as she has excused herself on this topic throughout its whole discourse.
It scared me. Sorry, but I woke you up, didn't I, buddy? Bye. Have fun.
This public hearing is convened pursuant to Section 890 of the Local Government Act to allow the public to make representations to Council respecting matters contained in the following proposed bylaw. Colwood Land Use Bylaw Number 151/1989, Amendment Number 135, CS1 Zone, Text Amendment 310-14-18-28 Will Road and 2675 Wilford Road, Bylaw Number 1523/2013. For the benefit of our attendee, every one of you present who believes that your interest in this property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the proposed bylaw. None of you will be discouraged or prevented from making your views known. However, it is important that you restrict your remarks to matters contained in the proposed bylaw. When speaking, please commence your remarks by clearly stating your name and address. The function of council at this public hearing is to listen to you rather than to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw. After this public hearing has concluded, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representations made at this hearing. As a matter of information, the bylaw is on the agenda this evening for consideration. Please be reminded that there will be no opportunity to speak to the bylaw during council at that time. That time is now. So, to any of the members of the public. Anything to say?
Mayor and council and staff members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Give me 2 minutes. So
There is a microphone. Oh, you got a presentation, Lloyd?
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm going to be very quick for your benefit because I believe you all know our questions.
Yes.
Probably answers.
There you go.
Lloyd, you have to speak in the mic, otherwise
The recording thing won't pick it up.
No, I can manage. So what I'd really like to do is open the floor up to any questions once I've gone through my couple minutes of speech for your benefit.
Not sure there'll be questions because it's the public presentation part.
Okay.
But
I was introduced to this property when I was 12 years old by my father. He got me working there right off the bat, and we've been there ever since. I'm now 50 this year. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Way back in '76, it became a building supply and has gone through some major redevelopment since then. And I think that it benefits the city objectives because it's now a workplace precinct with over a dozen different companies and businesses in the space. I think we've been creative and innovative with our housing, which was asked for as far as city objectives go. And it's really become an employment node for, I think, about 50 employees currently. We've provided a public square. We we think that we've connected to residents and employees in this development. And our objective was really as a work, live, play facility. We think that the design is walkable, it's mixed use, and it integrates retail, commercial. No, it's not working. And what we're asking for, really for consideration, is an increase in the FAR from 1.0 to 1.5. That'll allow us really just more flexibility in developing the space. We're going to put in a hotel, some apartment blocks, a little bit of warehouse in 328 Whale Road, and I think more than enough parking on the space. We want to accommodate the city with a public space available for host community markets and events, and provide Colwood with a hotel finally for the long term. As I say, our density allowed is 15,646 square meters, which is just about 1-to-1. It's under 1-to-1. The current is 15,506, so we're under that density allowed. And with consideration from the planning department of the city, it was recommended that we go to 1.5 for that extra flexibility. We changed the plans from that to increase the floor space between buildings A and B very slightly. Without continuing, I just like to leave it at that and answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. Thank you. It's a public hearing part and whatever, so I'm not sure, we don't have any. Yeah. What's that? I know. So, yeah, I was just going to ask if staff had anything to add to this, though, Alan, before we...
Nothing really to add to the presentation thus far.
Okay, perfect. So, members of the public, Mr. McNeil, are you looking to make comment on this particular... There you go. Any other members of the public? I think we're good in there. So it's that simple. I think the public hearing is now closed. I can formally say second and third times for public hearing comments. And with that, we will close. We'll move into, nope, yep, sure you can. And then we will move back into our regular meeting. I'm not used to these paper ones again. Yep, we're good. We're good on the public hearing part. Looking for approval of our agenda for Monday, November 25th.
Move approval.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Public participation. This is a time and opportunity now for any other or anything that members of the public may want to get up to speak to.
Hello, my name is Lenora Lee. I'm an audit partner with KPMG here in Victoria. I think I've met many of you at the July meeting where we presented the audit findings report for the fiscal 2012 year. Just wanted the opportunity tonight to speak with you. We understand that there's an agenda item to recommend auditors for the next 3 fiscal years with extension potentially for the next 2 years. And while KPMG is not the firm that's recommended, we do appreciate and are cognizant and supportive of the city's success. So certainly are here to provide comments and answer any questions that may arise as a result of that recommendation, either during the session or at the time that report is proposed.
Thank you. I don't think there's anything at this time. Nope, that's good. Anybody else from the public? One last time, any members of the public wanting to speak? Moving forward then, mayor's message. Although there's been lots going on, I do have a public service announcement that on Thursday, November 28th at 5:30 at the Field House at Wandafuka Rec Center, VHA will be holding a public forum in which they're looking for comments and input in regards to their Island Health 2018 strategic plan. And so for anyone who might be interested to see where our health care is going, they might want to drop on in and take a look at that. I think it'll get posted to our website as well as a reminder for folks. The other one that I would like to make acknowledgement to is on Saturday past, we had our firefighters had their Christmas dinner recognition. And on the way home that evening, one of our local residents had a very unfortunate mishap. But fortunately for her, a taxi cab bringing a number of our individuals back to their residences happened by to see her in distress. And thanks go out to Chief Paul Hurst and his wife Lori from the View Royal Fire Department, firefighter Tim Hamblin from the Colwood Fire Department, and to Councillor Gordy Logan, who were all shared that cab and arrived on scene to ensure that this woman was well taken care of in that duration. So thank you. And I just wanted that acknowledged there. So,
Yay, Councillor Logan.
yeah.
You are a man.
Team effort.
From what I've heard, it was very well executed, and everybody's good to go. So, moving on from that.
Councillor, Mayor Hamilton, maybe mention the Christmas light up on the 5th?
Oh, December 5th, yes. Yeah, it's big on our website, but for those of you who might not happened on it, December 5th, we have our light up starting at 6. We have Sangster School in singing. Councillor Lukens, I know I didn't get to the last meeting.
Yeah, but there will be, Royal Bay Bakery is going to be a sponsor. They're going to be doing bite-sized apple fritters. They're infamous apple fritters. We've got hot chocolate, which being donated by Bites. We've got Mr. and Mrs. Claus coming in with the fire department. The fire department will also light up at the same time as the city does. So the city is going to, or the City Hall will look a little bit different than it does tonight with more lights and stuff. So Rona has graciously been a great supporter of the project again this year. So I haven't reached out to you yet, Mr. Wansborough, but we're good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with comments? Councillor Cullington?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very quickly to mention a couple of events that have very successful events that have taken place. One is we had the first session of our transportation master plan last week. It was very well attended, lots of good discussion, great presentation by a guy called Gordon Price, and I think very well received by a number of people who might also be in the audience. So that's the kickoff, but expect more of those sessions coming up probably in the new year, so we'll try and get that information out to you. Also, just very briefly to mention the Solar Colwood Home Tour on Saturday was very well attended. We probably had between 70 and 80 people who attended that. It was a sellout crowd, so to speak. So, great. Thank you.
Good. All righty. Seeing none others, we will move forward looking for adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of Council November 12th. Pardon? Yes, and seconder? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Looking to receive minutes for Parks, Recreation and Culture Committee, August 19th, and Protective Services on October 9th.
Move receipt.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Correspondence requiring council direction. We have a letter here in regards to the honors and awards for Secretariat. Pardon my paper copy. And it doesn't matter. We have received a letter from the coordinator in this program looking for nominations for receipt of the for consideration in receiving the Order of British Columbia, the highest honor the province can bestow on its citizens for excellent and outstanding achievement. Anyone is welcome to nominate a deserving individual as candidate for appointment to the order. They are looking for our assistance in getting those nominations in. So if there is anyone that is thought that meets the criteria, and you can go to the Order of BC website to determine the criteria, then the City of Colwood would welcome that nomination. So we do have to have everything in place, and there is a bit of work to be done on it by March the 7th, 2014. And that includes council members if you have anybody that you're aware of in the community. Then the second letter that we have is in regards to the Green Building Leaders, Pembina Institute. And Councillor Cullington, I'm just going to throw that over to you because you're probably a bit quicker on the information that you need, because I'm ready to go.
Okay. So this is a letter that came to us through Pembina Institute. Colwood is part of this Green Building Leaders team. We were invited to join based on our various successes. And they're trying to work on and encourage as many local governments as possible to sign on to this letter that you have in front of you. So just as background, this group has been working with local governments in the province for quite a number of years, and they've helped support things like the solar hot water ready regulation that Colwood was one of the first municipalities to sign on to, the pilot on-bill retrofit financing program, the one on Vancouver Island was also Colwood, and then the higher energy performance standards, which through the planning team we've already been pushing through our local developers. Obviously wanting to kind of keep this sort of movement going. So the letter that you have attached there really has 4 asks in it. One is for the province to continue to support energy retrofit financing. So this is through things like continuation of the Live Smart BC program that I think has been well received across the province, but also locally. Working with local governments to develop a suite of opt-in green building regulations, so more things like the solar hot water ready regulation, where you don't have to do it, but if your community chooses to do it, that's an option for you. Home labelling requirement, something I'm familiar with from Britain, but when you sell your home, you would have an Energuide rating, so it just gives good information for the folks looking to buy your home. And then various ways to kind of modernize and improve the building code to really raise standards. So there is a letter attached that we have been asked if Colwood would be willing to sign on to. This is going to all of the municipalities across the CID and also elsewhere in the province. I'm not going to read you the letter.
No, the letter touches on all of those items that Councillor Cullington has mentioned, as well as, in conclusion, we urge you to consider how to continue to improve building energy performance in the province of BC as you modernize the building code, particularly through the use of voluntary opt-in regulations and allowing for local government innovation on a case-by-case basis. A strong BC building code, along with the advanced opt-in regulations and ongoing innovation, will help communities and the government of BC move towards our climate action targets and ensure a lasting legacy in our built housing stock for the generations to come. So that is, in essence, the letter, and I need direction from council whether we are to support and have me sign.
So
Councillor Lucan? Question?
Yeah, no, I have a comment actually about this.
Oh.
And that is, I'm fully in support of continuing to improve energy efficiency, et cetera, I think we also need to make sure that it's affordable for the end user. And that means that any costs that are incurred in the development stage are downloaded to us that buy. And so I know the last time some of these improvements went in, it was in some instances quite a hardship for developers to put in and then try and sell their product, because of course it has to be paid for. So I think we need to be considerate and cognizant of it. It's not that I'm opposed to it, but we need to make sure there's a balance. Thank you.
Looking for recommendation?
I would move that the Mayor be authorised to sign the letter as presented from the Permanent Institute.
I'll second that, and I just wanted to say that I think that I recognize the issue that Councillor Lukens brings forward, but also over the long term, we need to start looking at the long-term costs of living places as well. So I think that that's an important aspect, both the cost to get in and the cost to stay in.
Any other questions?
Do we need to make an amendment to that then within the letter that's being put forward? Should we add any of that in, or because it's not really identified in the letter that I read or interpreted?
Madam Mayor? I would just add that it's advocating for opt-in, so we can advocate for this letter in total support without having to identify specifics, and then we will opt in specific programs that we feel are supportable.
Okay.
I think that that's covered off in that second part, that on a case-by-case basis. Call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Moving forward, we are in Parks, Recreation and Culture. 6.1.1, a memorandum in regards to the West Shore Parks and Rec review of governance and co-owners agreements. CAO, are you going to?
Certainly, Madam Chair.
Or Councillor Day can. Good.
Thank you. This is to do with the
Paying him the big buck.
The West Shore Parks Recreation agreement, the owners' co-agreement and the operating agreement. As you know, the CAOs have been trying to work on a principle base in terms of trying to change these agreements, because they don't really work particularly well, because you need 100% buy-in, otherwise no decisions can be made. However, the existing agreements do not have any clauses in them that provide for business continuity. So what we need to do is this council has to approve an extension of time, and in this case we're recommending a 6-month extension to the existing agreements. That'll take it to June 30th, 2014, so that the recreation centre and complex can keep operating. So the recommendation is that Council approve a 6-month extension to the current West Shore Parks and Recreation members agreement, co-owners agreement, and the operating agreement to June 30th, 2014, and the authorization be granted to execute all documentation related to the extensions. Thank you.
Seconder?
I'll move the recommendation.
Second? And discussion, comments?
The only
Yep.
Through the mayor to the CAO.
Your mic.
Oh, thank you. Through the mayor to the CAO. I 100% supportive. Is there any plan though of like after the 6 months? I mean, I know, and believe me, I know. But I mean, I guess I'm just trying to understand why it was 6 months and not a year, and like what were the CAOs thinking about this 6-month process? Just that could pass?
Through the chair to Councillor Martin, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
The question, it's a very good question. The ones that went before council, before this one coming to this council, 6 months was the considered length of time. Maybe it's a time frame that's so short that it might push the process a bit faster. My feeling is that we'll be back here 6 months asking for another extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this allows for things to carry on with the budget and all other things in place, so I tend to agree. Anything further? Councillor Logan?
Thank you, Worship, through you to Mr. Pease. So I can just envision us in 6 months having the same issues that some of the partners are throwing in front of us. So what is the plan to kind of get over those hurdles so we don't have to come back every 6 months and renew the agreement, because we almost feel like we've got a gun put to our head if we don't.
Through the chair to Councillor Logan. Yeah, very good question. The problem is the agreements require 100%. When you're voting, everyone has to be in agreement. That means spending of money, doing any projects, moving anything forward at all. It needs just one small player, one of the smaller municipalities saying no, and you're stuck. That includes the current budget, that if you don't have an agreement, the budget has to remain at the previous year's level. It really is quite an issue. The other part of it, of course, is, as we know, Langford has been building up its recreation facilities, which makes one wonder what they're up to, which puts more pressure on the West Shore Parks and Recreation.
Councillor Day?
I'd just like to add that I think in order to reach agreement, which does need to be 100%, for the owners to agree on amending the owners' agreement so that it's a little easier. The majority doesn't, a majority should rule. To overcome that, we have to look at what the issues are for each of the member municipalities and ensure that everyone's needs are met through West Shore Parks and Rec. So in the case of some of the smaller players, they are going to need some assurances that their requisition isn't going to be so high that it's unaffordable for them. And for our bigger players, such as Langford, who've made some separate investments in recreation infrastructure in their own municipalities, they're going to have to see the benefits of belonging to West Shore Parks and Rec as well. So just my perspective from sitting on the board, that's what we will have to do.
Anything further? Seeing none, call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item under 6.2, Transportation and Public Infrastructure, a memo in regards to the motion of January 9th, 2012 regarding future of the Esquimalt Lagoon Bridge. Councillor Cullington?
Actually, I'm going to move this one over to the CAO.
Certainly, thank you very much. What this is to do with, it's to do with a motion of council that was created on the 9th of January 2012, and at our last meeting here, the recommendation put forward and accepted is that we reverse the decision and rescind the motion. So basically what it says is that the January 9th, 2012 council resolution regarding the future of Esquimalt Lagoon Bridge, that council approve in principle working towards developing a referendum question to be asked during the next municipal election as to whether or not the Esquimalt Lagoon Bridge should remain open be rescinded.
Require a mover and a seconder.
I'll move that we make that, rescind that motion.
Second. Everyone understanding on that? And Councillor Cullington?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the CAO and perhaps other members of council. So I'm fully supportive of rescinding the motion. I am just aware that then kind of leaves us in the position of we need then to determine how we are going to move forward. And I'm looking for input from council and from staff in terms of how you might like to see this item move forward.
Councillor Day?
Thank you. For myself, I would like to see a broader base of knowledge brought forward to the citizens of Colwood in the light of the recent provincial guidelines in regards to sea level rise and dealing with climate change, which we know is happening, and the recommendations that have been made by the province, I think we need to look at what we're going to do with the foreshore. The bridge is one of our amenities that is at risk. The sewer lift station is the other. And I think we need to look at and identify for our citizens what the provincial regulations mean for Colwood, and then look at if there is any feedback that we want to ask our referendum question that we want to ask our public, because first we have to set the stage with the information.
Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you, through the chair. I think it's critically important that we get community involved in this conversation and use this as an educational opportunity, not just with respect to provincial legislation, but with respect to the engineering reports that we've had done time and again, and with respect to some of the work that people in our community have done. So I think it's really a great idea to bring everyone together, to share the knowledge, and to come to council with some real clean recommendations on what we're going to do about it, and not wait, another 3 years or 10 years.
Councillor Martin?
I'm speaking directly to the motion. Oh, thank you. Speaking directly to the motion and not to Councillor Cullington's question. If and through you to our Director of Engineering, if you look at page 63. Sorry, I don't know what it is on the computer. And it's just regarding the January 9th, 2012 minutes of the regular meeting of council. Are you there yet, Michael? Yeah. Okay. If you go down to the fourth paragraph, which basically starts, it says, the engineer said that the pilings will need to be replaced if the bridge is to remain open to vehicular traffic. He explained the Stantec report, which can be provided to council if requested, gave a number of options, and most cost-effective was $750,000, while the cost of wood would be less. And I guess I'm asking, does our Director of Engineering still sort of have the same feelings towards that, or has his opinion changed since 2012? Regarding this question of us, because this was part of the reason we were looking at this question, was because we thought that we may be in a situation that it was going to cost us $750,000 to replace that bridge.
These are not my feelings. It's based on Bridge Engineer's report. But I haven't seen... Yeah, well, I don't really have an opinion about it because I haven't done the examination of the bridge the way the bridge engineers have. But that was their opinion in their report, that after 80 years, the piles were coming to the end of their life, and they did have worms in the piles. And I haven't seen the final copy of the report from this year. We just had it reviewed again, but they have not lowered the weight limit, so that's a good sign. So it's holding its own. They did lower the weight limit once before, but they're not doing that this time around. So, we get another 5 years out of it before we have to check it again.
Councillor Lukens?
But there's money that we allocated in the budget for maintenance of the bridge ongoing, which hadn't been happening for a few years, right? So that maintenance is happening every year.
I'm not aware of any time that the bridge wasn't maintained.
Okay. Because I had understood there hadn't been money allocated in the budget previously for a couple of years for the bridge to continue to be maintained, so that's why I asked the question.
No, I think there was always money for maintenance. It's a very small amount of money. It's about $25,000 a year, something of that ilk.
And is that what's being budgeted this year?
That will depend on the report.
Okay, good enough.
So looking to the motion before us, first we have it's on the table and a seconder. Any further question? Councillor Martin?
Sorry, I hadn't finished. First paragraph on that page, last sentence, Mr. Baxter said that there is a chance that if a serious storm near the maximum theoretical event happened during high tide at the Esquimalt Lagoon, that an ocean bulge bar would be washed out. Is your opinion still the same?
That is the opinion of Seabulk Engineering. There's absolutely no reason to believe that their opinion would be different if they looked at it again today.
Anyone else? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion?
For discussion.
For discussion, I would like to move that this item be referred back to a future TPI committee for further consideration. I think we do need to have as it stands at this moment in time, all we've done is we've said we've rescinded the motion. We haven't given direction to address this issue, and I think we do need to.
I have a seconder.
Just a second.
Discussion, Councillor Day and then Sullivan.
Sorry, it's kind of difficult because the motion is to refer, and the motion to refer is always in order, but there is no discussion on a motion to refer. Sorry. You're not allowed to discuss when you refer, when the motion is to refer, it goes straight to
Goes
its
back to
refer.
committee and then
Yeah.
they get to discuss it.
Okay.
I think that TPI could have picked it up at any time. Pardon?
I said I don't want to discuss it, but I'd like a point for clarification. Is that we've got a report in here talking about us setting up a committee, and I thought that's what we were going to make a decision on tonight. Is that not correct?
No, we're not making a decision on setting up a committee. That was already in a previous report, and so that committee is going to be set up.
Okay.
But we haven't got there yet. Anything else? So the motion that we have on the floor, and it's seconded, is to refer this topic of discussion back to TPI. We also have it noted that we do have it in a decision previous that we are setting up a collective body on this. So on the motion that's on the floor, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And they'll work with the group that's being set up.
Madam Mayor, if I may, could you please invite the Parks Committee to the TPI meeting?
Being that they're a very integral part of the Cobourg Peninsula, I think that's in order. Moving forward then to item number, let me get on here, I'm in between papers and things. 7.11, report in regards to unsightly premises at 611 Hulser Drive. Finance and Admin.
Sorry, I'll refer that to the CAO.
Madam Chair, this is an unsightly premises at 611 Hulser Drive. A complaint was received about the captioned property on October 25th, 2013. Subsequently, bylaw enforcement inspected the property and found cardboard boxes, old newspapers, plastic containers, garbage and miscellaneous debris. There are some photographs attached. And basically what the issue here is that because it's been reported as unsightly, the city is obliged to get on and try and rectify the situation. In terms of financial implications here, if after council direction, the owner of the subject property fails to clean up the property, the city cleanup cost will be approximately $1,600. The owners will be billed for the actual costs, and if unpaid within 30 days, the balance will be added to property taxes in arrears on January 1st, 2015. So the only action council needs to debate here is that council, pursuant to Unsightly Premises Bylaw number 715/2003, direct the owners of 611 Halcyon Drive, Plan VIP 31394, Lot 6, Section 69, to remove the cardboard boxes, old newspapers, plastic containers, garbage and miscellaneous debris from the premises within 14 days after delivery of a notification letter. Failure to comply will result in the city or its agents doing the work at the owner's expense. Thank you.
So moved.
Council discussion? comment? Councillor Lugans?
Just wondering why it would be added to the 2015 and not 2014. Is it because the 30 days is after January 1st, 2014?
I believe so.
But you're not sure?
No.
Perhaps Director of Finance might have input on that aspect.
Yes, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, that is correct. That because we have to attach to the tax payers filed by the end of the year. So if this goes into the new year, it has to wait another year. Does that make sense?
Dead one.
And in the descriptive of things to be removed, I'm sure that the fuzzy critter laying on the deck will also be removed.
Kind of funny.
Through the chair, well, we hope so.
Through the mayor to CAO, I just want to clarify, I guess, when we classify something as unsightly, and I know this is going to sound stupid, but does it have to be seen? Does it have to be seen by the public? Because, for example, some of this looks like it's in the backyard and there's a huge hedge there and stuff. I don't know, what our definition is. Yeah, this is could be my backyard.
Through the chair to Councillor Martin. Well, the issue here is basically what you look at is how does the property appear compared to the direct surrounding neighbourhood. And if it's totally out of place, then that's what triggers the unsightly. And when we look at it from an unsightly point of view, not only do we look at the front yard, we also look at the backyard because you take the property as a whole.
So we have the motion before us. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item 7.12, request for early budget approval, communications officer position.
I'll refer to our CAO.
Thank you. This is a request for early budget approval for the hiring of a communications officer. The report recommends that this be done mainly because the city needs to proceed in a proactive manner in promoting its strengths. And if you look at the expertise the communication manager brings to the city is in the area of strategic communications, planning and implementation, writing and editing, media relations, and issue management, social media management, graphic design and production, web and SharePoint development, event coordination, crisis communications. And in particular, I'd like to just bring to your attention that the communications manager can be credited, the one that we have working for us right now, can be credited with the following initiatives. New format municipal, annual municipal report, a great new website, introduction of an intranet, new logos and standards, push to get new city signs and letterheads rolled out, dynamic city newsletter, drafting of numerous news-related releases and speaking notes, and coordination events such as the Royal Bay School groundbreaking, new exciting development proposal signage, issues management, sewer treatment and resource recovery message management, and strategies for the forthcoming master plans that are currently underway. So in terms of the city has seen an enormous change in the way it responds to communication and communication channels and the press. And there are basically three options that council could consider here: that not approve this in any manner, so that we have nobody left in communications and at all, and it'll revert back to everyone just sort of doing the best that they can. This is not recommended as it's really not looking at the future, especially as the municipality has some fairly significant issues in front of it now and coming up. It could continue the position as a contract engagement, and really this is not recommended mainly because the person occupying the position brings a lot of knowledge to the city in these challenging times. The other part of it, of course, is that a contract position means that it's at jeopardy at any given time. And in this particular case, the individual that we're talking about is that this individual has to make a decision whether they stay with the city of Colwood or revert back to their position with VHAR. I think the city would lose an awful lot if that was the case. And the best outcome for the city and the individual is that the person be engaged as an employee by the city of Colwood. The total costs of this in terms of the wage and benefit loading is $97,840. So that's what would be approved in the 2014 budget. And it would be an FTE, and it would be an ongoing cost going forward. There are other costs that are associated with this position, and they don't have to be considered to this evening, and they are on the next page, and they amount to, in 2014, $15,500, and in the following year, another $10,000. They don't have to be, one doesn't have to have an answer to these this evening. However, they will be brought up in the 2014 budget deliberations for consideration. So the recommendation then, the hiring of a full-time Colwood communications manager be supported and granted early approval, earlier budget approval, effective 2014-0101 at a pay grade 16 plus all applicable benefits. The pay grade 16 is just the way the contract looks at that amount of money. And second, that the current contract communications manager be appointed as a successful candidate as of the same date. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Council discussion? Councillor Lukens?
Thank you. I am very much in support of early approval, and I'm very much in support of Sandra continuing. She's done a phenomenal job. I think she's really given the city some credibility, and people are talking about it in the community, which is what we want. So they are feeling more engaged, and I think it'll only continue to grow as we keep this going. And I think it's a huge benefit to our community and something that most of us on council committed to doing during the 2011 election. So I want to extend a thank you to Sandra for a great job, and I look forward to working with her going forward.
Councillor Day, then Councillor Logan.
Thanks. I have some difficulty. I'm okay with talking about the position, but when we personally identify someone, I'm wondering why that wasn't in camera as an identifiable individual. I just have some discomfort with talking specifically about a person. I have no trouble talking about the position. I feel happy that we are undertaking the role, and that I'm certainly very happy with how things are going. I just have some discomfort.
Councillor Logan?
Oh, I wasn't sure if Councillor Day had a question or was seeking an answer on that particular.
Wait.
Certainly, I can answer that question. Number one, the report doesn't have a name in it at all. That's number one. Number two, my preference is always to leave things in the public realm as much as possible. That's why this didn't go in camera.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am, for all the reasons that have already been stated, in complete support of this, and I think to do anything different would be certainly a step backwards. And we can only see the improvement that has happened in the last 12 months, and the transformation has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm wondering, along with this, if we want to consider the addition of the $7,000 line item for early approval, so we can continue our evolution and our transition with our rebranding and whatnot.
It's not 7.
No, but we have the option of each one.
Madam Chair, sorry, can I just jump in here? There was one bit of information I didn't have at the time. I now have it, is that there is already $45,000 in the budget for this position because of what happened in 2013.
Yes. So that's good news. And I would just ask again if we we could consider the $7,000 to continue the transition with our new logo and whatnot for signage. So we don't lose that momentum and we get it done.
We have one motion on the floor. We can add a second one and keep them separate, and then that way we can,
Okay, yep. Okay, that would be fine.
then they're
Yep.
two different items.
Yep, no, that would be good.
Okay.
Thanks, yep.
Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you. Thank you, through the chair. I am too in support of continuing with this position. I think we've obviously seen a lot of great stuff coming out of that position. Just one question, and that's with respect to us directly appointing the person to the position. And is it safe to assume then that we won't have any union issues?
That's correct, because this is, at the moment, it's management's prerogative to bring anybody in, regardless if they're union and management. So we're just bringing this individual in. We can appoint them. It would be the same as me appointing them.
Right, so it's safe to assume that we won't have any issues?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Councillor Nate?
I was just curious, is this a union or an excluded position?
This is a union position.
Anyone else? Councillor Cullington?
Thank you. Just wanted to add my voice to others who have said that having this position has made a huge difference to this organisation. You just sort of see it in just so many different ways, and I'm intrigued if the incumbent managed to get as much done as she did on the part-time position. I can't wait to see what she's going to do on the full-time position. And my other entirely serious question is Shari going to tweet this out?
We've got it ready to go. What?
Exactly. Anything else? And I will proceed then calling the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Motion carried. And we have the potential of a second motion on the floor. Councillor Logan?
Thank you, Worship. I move that we grant early approval in the amount of $7,000 for City Hall signs, specialty signage, and other related identity needs.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Through the chair to our
Don't you be reading my mind.
Director of Finance. Do we need to do that? Do we need to approve it? Or like it's in the budget for next year? Yeah, but are we trying to get it done before the end of the year? Yeah.
Is there money in the budget already that can be used on this?
We can't spend it until the budget's actually approved, and we may not approve it until May 15th. Right? So at
yes,
least we can.
Correct, but there's always a chance that staff can come forward and ask for early approval once the core budget is approved.
I'm just asking if we need it. If we need to do it, great. I'm okay with it.
If it is absolutely necessary that the continuity on this work continue immediately, there is a small council contingency that I have in the budget that should cover this. 7,000 only, though.
Okay, so I'm hearing that there's funds left that would carry us through. So is it something that we want to be seeing at this time? Leaving it up to
And
you.
does she have access to it, and can she keep it moving?
Rebecca, can that be? Yeah, is that money transferable into some sort of account that can be utilized in this format?
Yes, Your Worship. It's just a general contingency, so it's up to council to decide what they want to do with these funds.
Okay.
But sorry, just for clarification, but it sounds like we need to do approval like Councillor
Yeah,
Logan has requested.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do it.
Okay. So call the question then on the approval and motion that's before us. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah.
Oh, hello,
We did.
Sandra. We are now 7.1.3, report Director of Finance regarding the appointment of external auditors for the years 2013 through 15.
Thank you, Your Worship. In 2010, the city undertake an RFP process with many other communities in the regional district. As a result of that RFP process, KPMG was appointed auditors for several of the communities. That agreement ended after 3 years, and city have option to extend for 2 additional 1-year period of time. The city staff decide to undertake a RFP to see just what other proposals come out. City of Town of View Royal also do an audit RFP. So we put the RFP out. We received 5 proposals, and we evaluate them based on their experience with public sector accounting board rule, municipality experience, understanding of engagement, the timing, the personnel, the implementation, and the value-added services, along with audit fee and staff time commitment. And based on this review of all of these factors, we rank the firms on page 2 of the report based on what the fee are going to be in year 1 to 3, and then 4 and 5, and then a total. And so you can see that we rank A. Stuart Little first and BDO Canada last. Staff recommendation is to go with a company second on the list, primarily due to the fact of significant staff time commitment with the first firm. They came in second highest in number of hours required for audit, compared with Meyer Norris Penny, came in right around the same as KPMG and Grant Thornton of about 180 hours compared to 220. So staff recommendation is that we appoint Meyer Norris Penny as external auditor for the fiscal year 2013, 14, and 15, and that we have option to extend for 2 additional period of 1 year each to a maximum total of term of 5 years, and further the option to extend the contract is by mutual agreement, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign agreement between the parties.
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Discussion? Councillor Martin?
The concern I have with all of the proposals, and asking through the mayor to our director of finance, is if you look at financial implications under 4, basically we looked at about $22,000 of excess fees, and I'm trying to control those costs, obviously, and where are we at with those 5 proposals when it comes to the external costs that are outliers?
Well, I know that there are occasionally extenuating circumstances that require additional fee to be charged. So to be fair, sometimes that just happen. But in the case of these are fixed bid, which mean that it have to be mutually agreeable and in writing to do any additional work for the city beyond what is the fixed bid.
And through the mayor, the fixed bid outside of the amounts, like for example, the hourly rates, are they significantly different between the 5?
No, not really. Most of these firms, I mean, they're equally capable of doing the audit. The rates are very much the same. It's the time commitment involved to do the audit where it vary a lot. I would say a Stuart Little, probably their fees are on the lower side, but you have to also look at each firm have a different approach probably to how they're going to do the audit. One firm might be heavier on students and lighter on your senior partner involvement, whereas others might have a very even mix where another might be completely opposite, where there's more senior partner involvement. And the more time you have for a senior partner, that's where the fees really start to add up. It's like having a very expensive lawyer.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Logan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the Director of Finance, 2 questions. One, was there any commitment from the numbers that bid about when they would perform the audit?
Yes, the plan at this point is to begin the audit sometime around Valentine, like the week of Valentine.
We would love that.
What's that?
We would love that.
And so we hope to have audit finish up by March. That's been a bit of a challenge in the past, is that because KPMG have so many communities, you have a window, and that's kind of it. And that's what happened to us last year, is we run into some problem and we get pushed way down the schedule. So I feel very confident that we will get this going around the 14th of February.
Okay, thank you. My other question was with KPMG, they know the organization, so there may be some efficiencies because of that and their history over the years. So I assume we're comfortable in the fact that another organization will come in and have to relearn the city and the practices, et cetera, and we're confident that that efficiency will still be there.
Yes. In the case of municipal auditing, knowing how to audit a municipality is probably the most important part. But of course, each municipality have unique differences. And so the audit proposals that come forward take into account that bit of a learning curve. So what you will find if we continued with KPMG, they probably will not come out before the end of the year. Maybe they would meet us early in the new year. But any of the other 4 firms would come out as soon as they know that they are appointed to bring themselves up to speed.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Cullington?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the Director of Finance, I'm not familiar with NMP. Are they a local firm? Where are they based?
Yeah, and all of these companies have a presence either in Victoria or on the island. Their office is in Nanaimo and Victoria. They have 3. I don't know that there's any accounting firm in Colwood, if that's your question.
No, I was just thinking, are they, at least local to this area as opposed to, being
Once
up in
we
Prince
get our
George or something
hotel,
like that.
we'll get some accounting firms.
Yeah. That's good. That'll come next time. Thank you.
Well done.
Anyone else? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is in regard to animal regulation and impounding bylaw 1990. This is to do with the CRD and their up-to-date animal control licensing bylaw, and we need to follow suit.
Oh, defer to the CAO.
May I say woof? No.
Yeah, who let that dog?
So what this is to do with is the CRD Animal Control Service, and it's a request for a $5 increase in the city dog license fee for 2014. This is just the dog license, the thing that goes around the doggie's neck. So the CRD also manages the administration and maintenance of Colwood dog licensing, including ordering, distributing, and sale of licenses, data entry, sending renewal notices, advertising, canvassing, and all the other related costs. The CRD retains all revenue collected except for the dog licenses sold at Colwood City Hall or by Colwood staff. So basically, it's just a matter of making sure that our bylaw matches the CRD bylaw and being able to charge the same amount. And the recommendations are that council support the CRD's request for a $5 increase in all dog license fees as outlined in the draft bylaw 1525, cited as the Animal Regulation and Impounding Bylaw number 160, Amendment 9, Schedule A, Dog License Fees, Bylaw number 1525-2013, and the bylaw number 1525 be forwarded to council for enactment, and it'll be at the end of this bylaw section.
Move the recommendation.
Conversation? Just to our CAO, the CRD bylaw that's attached in our report here, do we follow under the CRD set of numbers? Because I don't see I don't see Colwood identified specifically in here as Saanich and Oak Bay and Esquimalt and Victoria have been.
That's correct. I can't say why we're not actually listed, but for Colwood to be able to charge the amount, we've got to abide by the CRD bylaw, using our own bylaw.
Okay, just because, like I noticed on theirs for intact dogs, after March 1st of this year is $50, whereas ours would only be $40 if I flip back here. For intact licenses.
Madam Chair.
Okay, there we are. No, after March 1st is 55, so that takes us on our $5. Okay, just wanted to be sure that we were all on the same page.
Well, there's no problem.
I am now.
None of the Colwood dogs are intact.
No comment. Councillor Day.
Sorry, I just have a question, and it's in regard to looking at the comparison of Capital Regional District current and proposed dog license fees on page 89 of 100. In Saanich, they don't have the option of the early renewal, but their rate is $40 for late purchase, which would be the same as us. But the CRD-wide one is $50 for late purchase, and I just don't understand that.
So, Madam Chair, through to Councillor Day, I'm afraid I can't answer that question either.
There's many differences. Esquimalt is 36 and 41. It's just crazy.
So, I guess my question is, if we're putting these rates up because we're following suit with the CRD, why are our rates different than other areas of the CRD?
Do you have an answer to that?
It's, if I can, from what I understand, we do not have to follow what the CRD is, what they're recommending. However, I think it's probably in our best interest to do it that way, simply because of an administrative perspective. Every time they go to pick a dog up from Colwood, they know that we're aligned with. If they pick it up from Esquimalt, they've got to go look what you're charging. I mean, everybody can do whatever they want with their own bylaws. It would be nice if everybody aligned and, we all did the same thing. Administratively, it would probably be a lot less expensive, from what I understand. So, but I know Dawn is coming to our next Protective Services meeting. It may be worthy of an ask. But, yeah, that's what I understand.
Mayor? I mean, I have an issue with this because it's a significant tax increase. I mean, if you're talking going from $20 to $25, that's a 25% tax increase on something like this. And even if you're going from 35 to 40, you're probably about 12%. And I just can't just arbitrarily just go, yeah, okay, and just throw out a 12 or 25% tax increase. because I don't see an argument. I didn't see a very strong financial argument saying that this is required. And I think it's important that you know, we think about that as we tax our residents, that we don't just arbitrarily just do it because the CRD chose to do it. So at this point, I can't be supportive of it.
On page 84, if you go to the top paragraph, it does identify where they've seen increased costs.
Yeah, but it.
And I know one of the biggest is the SPCA not taking the injured stray dogs, and they're having to pick that up. I remember talking to an officer about 2 months ago about that, and it's a huge time consumer for them.
Councillor Date? Before I
Sorry, just from our package on page 87, it does say, in order to keep pace with rising costs for animal control, another fee increase of $5. The last one was in 2006, so it has been at least 4 years since the last increase is proposed. There is, they are the ones who prepared the chart, the table of all the fees throughout the region, and somewhere I did read where they talked about the veterinary. I was looking for it. The impoundment fees are impacted as well.
Any further discussion options? I don't see it as a tax increase, and those folks with no dogs don't pay, so.
Well, it's a volunteer tax, but it's a tax.
Paying for service.
What service are you getting?
You walk your, you let your dog crap on the side of the road. You pick it up, you get identified, you lose your dog.
Are you talking about me again, Councillor Logan?
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, so the motion before us is what's in our report on page 84. Looking to call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Oh, you knew you had to get a 6
Oh, I
in one,
voted.
didn't
Yeah, I
you?
knew I had to vote against something tonight.
What does Bob Barker always say?
Motion carried.
It's cheaper.
I can get back into my program here. Yeah, I think that's where we are, right?
Like the movie,
oh,
$5 raise
wait a minute,
to
no.
counselors' pays.
Yeah.
Item 7.2.1 regarding protective services, Councillor Logan, regarding the RCMP West Shore Bar Watch program, not Bar Walk program that was identified in our notes, and Good Neighbor Agreement. Please speak on.
Thank you, Your Worship. We had Constable Emma Rutledge from the Community Policing Division of the West Shore RCMP give committee a verbal overview of the proposed West Shore Bar Watch program. Constable Rutledge explained that the purpose of the program was to promote the security and safety of patrons in the West Shore liquor licensed establishments in Colwood, Metchosin, View Royal, and Langford. She reviewed the objectives of the program and explained that the program is also supported by the West Shore Chamber of Commerce. The delivery of the program will be through what's called a Good Neighbor Agreement, which is a voluntary contract that will be signed by the business owner of each participating establishment. The intent of the program is to enhance the existing Bar Walk program and to open the lines of Bar Watch. There's an actual Bar Walk program where members go in and actually walk through an establishment. And to open the lines of communication between the RCMP and the owners of licensed establishments in the area. And while the city of Colwood only has one facility, that this
A short walk.
It's a short walk, but also the one thing to remember, what the West Shore has that Victoria and Saanich don't have is an integrated police force, and so it's important that we have the same rules through all the communities. So what this does is set up a mechanism also for the bar owners to dialogue with the RCMP with knowledgeable officials should they have issues, and they can brainstorm with some of their fellow bar owners. So it was recommended by committee, and I so move.
There is, I'm intervening for a second, Councillor Logan. Just in this, to speak to the clarification and make this, it was suggested by the CAO that we split this into two motions, and he does have suggested wording in there, so.
Shoot. Bang, bang.
Thank you. So the motions will be that the City of Colwell supports the West Shore Bar Watch Program and the West Shore Licensed Establishments Program Good Neighbour Agreement as presented in the November 25th, 2013 regular council meeting agenda package, and that the Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer be authorised to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Conversation, discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Probably.
You can, and then it's consistency.
Yeah.
Get out.
So we are looking for third reading on bylaw number 1523. Before you, Colwood Land Use Bylaw number 151, 1989, amendment number 135, CS1 zone text amendment for 310, 14, 18, 28 Whale Road and 2675 Wolfert Road. Bylaw number 1523, 2013.
Move third reading.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
When will this begin final? When does this get final? Do you know?
Oh, it would be just a matter of doing the paperwork and then signing off on it. No, one more here. Councillor Lukens is back. Bylaw number, item 8.2, bylaw number 1525, first, second, and third readings on the animal regulation and impounding bylaw number 160, amendment number 9. Schedule A dog license fees, bylaw number 1525, 2013.
Move introduction.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Second.
Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Look, you got to vote negatively on 4 things tonight.
Move adjournment.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.